So in this video, I'm going to definitively answer, should you cut or should you bulk if your main pursuit is calisthenics? So what is calisthenics? It's a sport that really relies on your body weight. It's all about doing body weight movements, manipulating your body in motion or statically or whatever. It's all about moving your body, right? It's instead of moving an external weight, you instead use your own body as resistance. And from this, you can conclude that calisthenics is a sport that heavily relies on your body weight to strength ratio. So the lighter you are, so the less body weight you have, and the more strength that you have, the better your ratio will be, and the better you will be at the sport. For example, a person who is bulked up may only be able to do one arm pull-up, but if they cut down, they may be able to do 5 or maybe even 7 or more. So it's really about how strong you are in comparison to your weight. And for the most part, you see that there are a lot of calisthenics athletes that are really lean. It's very common in calisthenics because it's almost necessary if you want to be good at the sport. But the thing is, if you're just starting off, maybe you don't have that physique. Maybe you're not that lean. Or maybe you're too skinny. So let's first look at someone who is not as lean as regular calisthenics athletes. What do you do? Well, the most obvious choice is to cut, right? To cut down the fat and to get as lean as calisthenics athletes. And this is the right approach. For calisthenics, body weight is incredibly important. You want to minimize the amount of fat on your frame. So, cut if you are not as lean. And so, with the cut, you want to be pretty fast. So, 500 calorie deficit to maybe 1,000, but 1,000 is kind of pushing it. But at minimum 500 calorie deficit, so that you can approximately lose 1 pound of body weight per week. And what you want to do is you want to get down to around like 10 to 15% body fat. So that's the range where you can definitively see your abs. You got definition there. You don't have love handles. You pretty much don't have lower ab fat at all. This range is the best because you're not below 10%, so it's not really affecting you hormonally, but you're also not too fat, so it won't affect your performance. And so let's say that you have reached down to that body fat percentage. Then what do you do? Do I bulk or do I keep cutting? Like, what do I do? Well, you bulk in a sense, but you don't do a traditional bulk. Like a traditional bulk is like 500 calorie surplus, approximately 1 pound of body weight per week. You don't want to do that because that's way too fast for a calisthenics athlete, because you need to really pay attention to how much you weigh. So instead, you want to lean bulk. You want to add as minimal fat as you possibly can while still gaining muscle. And so lean bulk is, I would say, approximately like 100 calorie surplus. And so you should gain around 1 pound of body weight per 4 weeks or per month. It's really slow. And given this, you should be on a lean bulk for at minimum a year, maybe 2 years. So it's much slower than a regular bulk, but for calisthenics athletes, it needs to be. Otherwise, you are going to not have a good time. Your performance will seemingly dip, but that's really because your body weight increases. And then you will also need to cut back down, which is also a pain. And so if you do a regular bulk and cut cycle, it really is not conducive to calisthenics. But keep in mind that because you're in a calorie surplus, you will still gain some amount of fat. It's minimal, but you are still gaining something. And so you might want to cut for like 1 or 2 weeks at the end of the year when you're done with the lean bulk. But you can also just skip it entirely, because 1 or 2 weeks of a cut in a 500 calorie deficit is really nothing. So that's for if you are not as lean as if you want to be as a calisthenics athlete. What if you're too skinny? Well, if you're too skinny, you just skip the cutting part. You just go straight into a lean bulk. You don't want to take on the whole bulking meme where like you want to eat as much as possible to gain as much weight as possible, because that would just be wasting your time. Right? You're already starting off lean, and that will serve you as a calisthenics athlete, but you still want to do a lean bulk so that you gain weight. Right? And then the fat that you do gain will help you because you're too lean. And so if you're doing a lean bulk at the end of the year, just don't do that optional cut 1 or 2 weeks. Leave the fat on and just continually lean bulk over years and years, and you will see tremendous progress with your skills as well as your physique. But the thing is, you may not be gaining weight with only 100 calorie surplus, right? Because if you could, you wouldn't be that lean, right? And this is because of your body's metabolism. If you eat more, your body sort of compensates by like unconsciously making you move more, and so that completely negates your supposed calorie surplus. So what you then have to do is you have to eat more. So you want to experiment with this. I would say start off with a 100 calorie surplus. If that doesn't do anything for you, increase it by another 100 calories, so a 200 calorie surplus. And so each time you want to do this for around a month, which is quite long, but a month is around the time you should be gaining 1 pound of body weight. So if you aren't gaining 1 pound, you want to increase the amount of calories, just slightly though, because it's over an entire month. If you are gaining too fast, well, you can cut back the calories. So really at the end of the day, for calisthenics athletes, once we are lean enough, it's all about just lean bulking like pretty much all the time, because we do not want big fluctuations in our weight. Otherwise, it's going to cause our strength for skills to also fluctuate. So just go on a steady, slow, lean bulk year-round for 1, 2, or even 3, or even more years. And that will be the most beneficial.